1.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to the second event in PIMA's 2021 Futures Conference. So let me share my screen to get us started. All right, here we go. So those of you who are familiar with the system Menti, we are going to be working in there again today. So please go ahead and go to the website and enter the code. If you're not familiar with Menti, don't worry. We'll spend a few moments and get everybody connected. So thank you all for being here today. The Futures Conference event is hugely important for PIMA because as we move forward with mission review, with strategic planning, your input is critical. So thank you for investing your time in the college this morning. Unfortunately, we're not together as we would normally be, but we will work to make this fun and as interactive as we can. Couple things to be aware of before we get started. So there is a short delay between when I say something and when you hear me. This is may cause a little bit of awkwardness in the interactive sections, but as we did last time, Anthony and I have a list of some of the fun, exciting positives about PIMA that we will share with you during the course of the day. But please just be aware that there is that slight delay. If you're following the slides in Menti, they will change in real time. And so that's where things may misalign just a tiny little bit. We will take our time to ensure there's opportunity for you all to give comments, but we will also make sure that we finish promptly at 11 o'clock or no later than 11 o'clock, maybe a little early. We'll see how the program goes. And as for last time, we have prizes, so please be sure to stay until the end. One student attendee will win $250 towards their educational expenses. And one community member will win a $100 gift card. We will gather the names at the end of the event through a survey, as we did last time, for those of you who were here then. And my thanks to Marcy Euler and the PIMA Community College Foundation for sponsoring the event and providing the raffle prizes. So here's our agenda for today. We will start with welcoming comments from Chancellor Lambert, and then I'll introduce you to Menti if you're not familiar with it. We'll do a couple warm-up questions and kind of get practice. This is a particularly exciting moment for us because we have no idea how many people are on the YouTube stream right now, so we will find out during that section. Then we'll talk a little bit about the future of PIMA Community College. This is going to be in general terms. We're going to introduce you to the planning process and let you know how the input today will impact the development of the next strategic plan. And then we'll jump into our primary topics today, which is going to be talking about community needs from the college, talking about two different areas, learner success and engaging with the community. But to start us off, it is my pleasure to introduce Chancellor Lee Lambert, who will give some welcoming comments.
Well, good morning, everybody, and thank you for giving us your precious time today. I'd just like to say a few words. First and foremost, I want to thank Dr. Nick Richmond and Dr. Anthony Sobak for leading the planning efforts. I also want to thank the planning team for their commitment to the success of PIMA Community College and our community. Also want to recognize we wouldn't be able to do these kinds of Zoom events without the great team we have in IT and PCC TV. So thank you to all of you. Just a few words. As you think about this morning's work, think about it in the backdrop of the following 6 pieces, followed by 3 questions I think we ought to be mindful of. One is paying attention to the demographics. What are PIMA's feeder institutions? What are consumers telling us about the future of education, specifically higher education? What's the labor market data telling us? And are our programs relevant to that labor market reality? Who are our competitors? And finally, the 4 superpowers. We can't ignore the realities of artificial intelligence, mobile technology, the cloud computing, and the Internet of Things. So as you think about those 6 areas, use the following questions as a way to process through. And those questions are, where's the puck going? What problem are we trying to solve? And finally, what story is this data and evidence telling us about today and the future? With that, I just want to thank you all again for giving us your time. We know that you could be somewhere else this morning, and the fact that you're spending it with us is much, much appreciated. Please have a great morning. Back to you, Nick.
Great. Thank you, Chancellor Lambert, for those opening comments. So let's get connected so we can get started with the program today. So we're going to be using Menti, and you can access Menti by opening up a web browser. You can do this on your smartphone, on your computer, your laptop, your tablet. It should work on any of those devices. And select a web browser of your choice and go to www.menti.com. And then there's a code at the top of the slide that you need to add, and that code 8294-8233. And members of the Strategy Analytics and Research team, my department, are on the YouTube chat. If one of you can please drop the code into the chat as well, so it's easily accessible. And if you get disconnected from Menti for any reason, that website and that code will be displayed across the top of every slide so you can get connected. So I'm going to move on to the first question, an easy warm-up question to get us started today. Are you excited about the event? And this is where I'm very curious to see how many responses we have come in. Do we have 10 people on the YouTube stream? Do we have 50 people? At the last event, we had a little over 200 people at various points in time during the course of the event, which was great to see. Oh, I'm seeing lots of absolutely's coming in. That's good. I'm right there with you. Though I must admit, I'm partly in the ask me after my coffee step as well.
Is it Friday? I thought it was Thursday. Did we mess up, Nick?
Oh,
I think we messed up. Well, thanks. We don't have the power to make it Friday, but.
Oh, that would be awesome. Or maybe people feel that this actually is Friday. Has it been a long week and you feel it's Friday already?
If we agree that it's Friday, like collectively, I think it becomes Friday.
Oh, well, that's very interesting. And yeah, this is copied from our last event, which was on a Friday when we usually have the Futures Conference. So if you're a regular attendee the last few years, firstly, thank you for attending so many of them. And second, it's Thursday, unfortunately, not Friday. Okay, lots of absolutes coming in. That's awesome. A few people need a little more coffee. All right, good. Let's see, what do we have next? All right, please provide your primary affiliation. The reason we ask this is when we look at the results and the comments that come in, we can disaggregate based on the different responses we have in here. We did a lot of work between the last event and this event to engage further with the community and with students. So this is when we find out if those efforts were successful. If they were not, well, we'll try other things before the next Futures Conference. And I'll pause here for a moment so we can see how many come in. And I really thought about when to include this question, because I know that we have slightly less people at the beginning and the numbers pick up during the course of the event. So maybe next time I'll include this in a couple of different places. Let's see, we have a few different people. Not many students. Students, thank you for being here. We appreciate you putting your time into this. Your input is really important to us. And I look forward to seeing the comments you submit. And community members, thank you for being here as well. And of course, internal colleagues. All right, let's move on to our next question. All right, so we've got 62, a few more faculty members checking in. Okay. Please describe PIMA in one word. I believe you have the option to submit up to 3 words. So think about what the college means to you and how you would kind of summarize the institution. This is always a fun one. It's tricky, isn't it? The pressure's on. You've got to pick one word. What do you choose? That's awesome. We are all about community, aren't we? Let's see, community education, transformational, opportunity. Yeah, that's a good one. As I think about the institution, I often think of transforming lives, which has been my experience with education. But we provide opportunities for people, opportunities to advance, learn new things. Let's see, affordable. Yeah. It's features in our draft vision statement, as those of you who were here last time saw. I really like watching word clouds develop. It's fun watching everything move around and seeing as different things are priorities, but community has been right there center the whole time, which is wonderful to see. Family, hope, local. Awesome. Whoever wrote awesome, I totally agree. Absolutely. All right. This is good. Okay. So I am going to move us along to the next item. So we're going to talk a little bit about the future of PIMA. And I'm going to talk in general terms and the goal for the next 10, 15 minutes. I'll aim for the 10-minute end of that because we want to focus on your input rather than you listening to me. But as mentioned last time, for those of you who weren't here before, this is a strategic planning year for the institution. And we're changing a little bit our planning process, moving away from more traditional strategic planning to methods that think more about the future, which relates to some of the comments Chancellor Lambert shared before. And I want to give you a feel for what the planning process looks like, and give you a sense of what we anticipate the plan will look like in terms of structure and how your input is valued today as we put this document together. So the whole planning process is guided by the mission. We're getting pretty close, I think, to a final development point for the new mission fulfillment framework. We aim to submit those statements to our governing board in May for approval. And we're thinking about a number of different aspects are summarized here as we develop the new strategic plan. So we need to think about the current status. This includes a lot of traditional planning. So we look at institutional context. So who is PIMA today, essentially? What are we good at? Where are we weak? What's the culture like? Things like that at the institution. SWOT analysis, of course, is the classic: strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And we're carrying out a competitor analysis. And we'll talk more about this in a couple minutes, but there is a change in competition with the growth in technology, the availability of online education, and the growth of massive open online courses. The landscape in which we exist is very different to what it was 10, 15 years ago. And then we have key performance indicators. So those measures of how we are doing today, which for PIMA focuses very much around the learners who attend our institution. Are they successful in their classes? Do they continue semester to semester? Do they complete an award? So those are the things we think about for current status. New this year, and this is something that you will get to join in with at the next Futures Conference, is using foresight methods to try and build visions of possible future states. So we take all the different signs of what's changing today, and we think about the cumulative impact of those 10, 15 years from now. So we can use those to make decisions today that will enable us to reach the ideal future state. And that's going to be very much the focus of the next Futures Conference when we talk about longer term goals for the institution. And then we need to think about the actions we have to take in the next 5 to 6 years, or 4 to 5 years as it's listed here. This is informed by institutional priorities, the Education Master Plan and Facilities Master Plan, and then a big goal we have: achieve 60 PIMA County, which I'll mention a little bit more in a few moments. Your input is key throughout this process. We are a community college located in Pima County, and while we have students located in many, many different places, our primary service area is Pima County. And so input from members of the community is really important to us as we shape our next strategic plan, because we need to make sure we're going in a direction that supports the needs of the community we serve. And all of these things combined will help us develop our new strategic plan. Now, there are realities we need to face. I mentioned one of them, the growth of competition in education. I'll show you a little bit of data on that in a moment. There are also enrollment challenges. We have been experiencing enrollment drops for a number of years now. That is not unique to PIMA. We saw larger decreases than some institutions for a while there. We're actually doing a little better than some. We kind of flattened off pre-pandemic. Things were looking good, but now there's the impact of the pandemic, which has driven enrollment down further. So that's a reality we have to face, and we have to figure out what we can do about that. There's also a declining perceived value of an education. I'll share some data on that in a moment. We have the approaching birth dearth, which will impact the numbers of students leaving the high schools. And there are technology changes. In part, this is artificial intelligence and the implications of that. Automation, machine learning, the various smart robots that are starting to do things for us. And the world is shifting rapidly in the era of technology, and that's going to impact all of us, be it through the Internet of Things, automation, as I already mentioned, and the change in the nature of work as machines and the computers take on certain routine tasks, figuring out what's the role of us within some of these work processes. And as an education provider, we need to be ready for that, to provide training that meets what employers need within Pima County. We need to embed within our curriculum the skills for our learners to be successful in that environment when they leave us. And as an organization, we need to be embracing these technologies too. So there are many implications of these different pieces. And for those of you who are unfamiliar with some of the changing competition landscape, this slide shows the growth of MOOCs. So MOOCs are these massive open online courses. There's various different providers of these things. You may be familiar with some of them. 2012, there were barely any MOOCs available. That's kind of when this whole growth began. But we're looking here at the number of courses. By 2019, we were at 12,000 courses. As noted, this includes approximately 120 million students. So these are significant offerings, and they are evolving all the time. There are industry-related courses you can take through some of these providers, and they really are becoming a genuine competitor for some of the areas we offer at Pima. So we have to be aware of that. How do we bring value to our community, and how do we ensure that Pima is the choice that people want to make for their education? This chart gives you a sense of the enrollment decline or headcount decline that we've experienced at Pima. Pima is shown in blue. The comparison for the Arizona community colleges is the orange line on here. And these are annual figures from the Integrated Post-Secondary Education Data System, which is a very long name for a federally mandated reporting system. Now, as you can see, Pima lost students at a higher rate than the overall for the Arizona community colleges for a few years in here, around about 2013, 2014. We're starting to flatten off. We were genuinely seeing a flatten off in the drop in our enrollment around 2017, 2018. Of course, now we've experienced a drop with a pandemic. But we know that what we were doing to address enrollment was helping, but there's this reality. We need to figure out what this means for us, for the institution. The last piece of background I want to talk about in terms of the realities we need to be ready for is this set of survey results. So this is from Gallup, and as part of one of their surveys, they were assessing the views of Americans on the importance of a college education. And in this case, I'm presenting the results by age, and the numbers for 2013 and 2019 are the percentage of people who responded that a college education is very important. And the primary thing I want to highlight here, back in 2013, which is really not that long ago, 74% of adults aged 18 through 29 felt that a college education was very important. But note what this looked like in 2019. It's dropped to 41%. This is a huge change in a relatively short period of time. And this is a reality that we need to take into account as we think about the education we provide at Pima, the services we provide. of how we help potential students, current students, understand the value of an education and what it can do for them in terms of their cumulative lifetime earnings, the career opportunities, the personal enrichment that's available to them. So, longer-term priorities. I touched on these before. These will be the focus of the next Futures Conference, where we think about, in part, the Education and Facilities Master Plans and Achieve 60 Pima County. I have a challenge for all of you. Achieve 60 Pima County is a very big, ambitious goal at the institution. The structure of the next strategic plan is likely to focus around 3 or 4 very big, very challenging goals. We are not looking at small incremental changes. We are looking to make big substantive changes. Achieve 60 is a statewide effort, but it says that the goal is by 2030, 60% of residents between 25 and 64 will hold a college credential of some kind. So it could be a certificate, it could be an associate's degree, bachelor's degree, etc. And that's a significant shift for Pima County from where we currently are. We have quite a few additional awards that need to be given out to residents. And this, though, has the potential to be truly transformative for our community. And it isn't 60% on the aggregate. This is disaggregated by subpopulations. So this is about kind of, some people mentioned leveling the playing field, closing some of the gaps, but ensuring that all of our community members, the different diverse groups we serve, reach that 60% threshold. And this is a huge goal. And my challenge to all of you is, as we proceed through the discussions today, please think about the transformative goal that might relate to the community. What can Pima be doing that would truly make a huge impact on the community that we serve? You'll have an opportunity. We have a catch-all at the end for any other comments. You can submit them there, but I encourage you to join us next time when we'll focus in detail on that transformative piece. So for our next plan, we're seeking to ready the college for the changes ahead. We want to build on our strengths and improve areas of weakness. Sometimes strategic plans are perceived as being about fixing what isn't working, but no, we want to strengthen the things we are good at, and we want to kind of improve the areas where we may be a little weak. And as I've mentioned a couple times, but it's worth repeating, the needs of the community are critical. And this is really our purpose today, to get your input on the needs of this community so we can use that to shape the next strategic plan. So the discussion today, we're going to focus first on learner success, and then we will talk about connecting with the community. And as we start to talk about learner success, it's my pleasure to transition over to my co-presenter today, Dr. Anthony Sovak, who is the co-chair of the strategic planning process.
Yeah, that's me. Hi, everybody. So today I'm going to be leading the discussion, asking some questions about perceptions for learner success, and just trying to get some direct feedback. So you won't be hearing much of me except to fill in with the gaps of the 30-second delay. So I'll jump right into our questions that we have, because I'm very excited to hear what you have to say. So the first question we've got is, what do learners in our community need to be successful? And while we give the something like 114 people watching on YouTube the chance to catch up to that, I'll start reading some of our highlights. One of our first highlights was that 5 of our programs here at Pima Community College were selected as Bellwether finalists, which I might add is the first time that's ever happened. Adult education in the history of the Bellwether, that one institution had 5 nominations. Adult Education's iBest program, the Air Force Paramedics Training, the HPOG, which is the Health Profession Opportunity Grant and Hopes program, Pima Online, and our prior learning assessment were all nominated as Bellwether finalists. Awesome. We got some stuff coming in here. Free childcare. Sorry, my headset went out for a second here. Confidence, access, direct pipelines to sustainable wage jobs within the community. Barrier removal, agreed. The strategic planning team just heard from the Breaking Student Barriers Task Force with a list of their recommendations to incorporate into our goals and our planning. I was very excited about that. Financial security, yes, agreed. Excellent. Give a few more seconds here, and then we'll move on to the next question. Great. We got 115 people here and 118 on the YouTube, so I think we might be good to move on to the next one, Nick. So whereas the last question we were asking about what do they need to be successful, what we're interested in hearing is what you think the biggest obstacles to learner success are. So similar question phrased a little differently to see what are those barriers in your opinion. We did talk a little bit about saw a couple of people saying need financial stability. Leads us into one of our other, I'm going to call it delayed talking points, things. So I'm not just standing here mouth agape while we wait for the answers to come in. But how we've tried to help students during the pandemic. And one of the ways Pima Community College has done that is offering student success courses at no cost for tuition and service fee, reducing student payment plan fees, and delivering the $5 million in direct student aid from the CARES Act funds. Great, seeing some stuff coming here. Lack of mentors, paying for education is a barrier. This one says, looking for asynchronous and learner-paced training programs to counteract the barrier. So this person went a step forward and also offered a solution, which I welcome. I welcome offering problems and perceived solutions. So thanks for that. I guess I'll give another talking point here. So some good news on the horizon was the November 2020 passage of Prop 481, which reset the college's base expenditure limit. Talked about that for a number of years, but for a long time, Pima Community College had the lowest ability to spend of any college in the state, and I think it was, but now we are at the average. So it was really good news for the college overall. Flipping the script, understanding the amazing opportunities here at PCC, food insecurity, technology. Right. I think someone had some students are trying to pass a test instead of engage understanding it for its own value. I'm just going to call on that one. The educator in me has to, because I feel like that latter bit, you're trying to learn, and then passing the test is the thing that demonstrates the learning, rather than just if the goal is to pass the test. There's a lot of ways to do that without actually learning. So thanks for that. Got about 108 responses now, so that's looking pretty good. Thank you everybody for listening to me ramble on this is my second cup. I haven't made it all the way through. It's still a little early for me. Sorry. Great, so let's move on to the next question if we can. And so here we go. So with this question, there's going to be a series of 2 questions, and they're both going to ask you to rank the same things. But this one wants you to rank which of these you consider to be the most value to Pima County as a community. And spoiler alert, we're then going to ask you to think about it as valuable to the individual learner. So first, what's valuable to the community and what's valuable to the individual learner? I'm curious if we rank them the same or not. Hopefully I didn't spoil it, but I didn't want to conflate it at the beginning. This one's my. I made Nick put this one in twice because I thought that there was a difference, because we do, as a society, we talk about education as a public good or education as a private benefit, right? And so you use these sort of like terms, but I also think, if we think about it, what's good for the community, what's good for the learner, maybe they're exactly the same, maybe they're different. And I'll be honest, I have no idea what I'm going to do with the information anyway, but I did think it was a curious way to begin the discussion. After we have you rank them both, we're going to go and we're going to open it up for comments. So if you think I've totally dropped the ball on this, please let me know there. If you have other ideas about how the work at Pima Community College impacts the community or the individual learner, that'll be the time to do it. So we're at 28, 30. So I'm going to read one more of our highlights, and thank you to everyone who sent highlights in for us to read. I'm happy to be the spokesperson for all of the wonderful things we're doing at the college. This one's highlights from the Pima Community College Foundation, including a $2.5 million gift from the Brown Foundation for advanced manufacturing initiatives, a $1 million gift from Bank of America for a jobs initiative, $250,000 from Connie Hillman Family Foundation, a matching grant for Centers of Excellence. For every $2 raised, $1 will be matched for new gifts to the foundation. So that's some excellent work. It's really, really good news to see that kind of investment in the college from the community. A little over halfway of the YouTube audience. Oh, actually, we got about 124 people watching now. Hopefully, not very many robots. Sometimes the robots come in and watch. That's fine. Certificate in occupational areas and industry recognized credentials are leading up the pack there. Excellent. Sort of stabilizing here, about half of the YouTube audience. Ooh, neck and neck. Any last minute votes there? It's like watching a horse race. Maybe associate degrees for employment comes in from behind. Doesn't look like it. Sorry, it doesn't look like it. Great. Well, let's get on to the same question, but slightly different. Which of these do you consider to be of most value to the individual learner, not to the community, but to the individual learner? It's okay if you think the same thing. That's kind of what I'm curious about, is whether or not we think these are the same thing of what's valuable to the learner versus what's valuable to the community. But feel free to have a different answer. And then as we're letting the YouTube do the delay thing, I've got another highlight here about the translation and interpretation studies. Is one of the premier and affordable translation interpretation programs in the country, along with aligning the program and courses with 3 external certification exams in both translation and interpretation. The courses in TRS have been created and designed fully online in an OER, that's open educational resource format. For those not familiar with that, that means that the students do not pay for the textbook, using an open pedagogical approach to learning. And so what that also means there, for folks who don't know, is that the assignments are designed to have a real world practical benefit and to be reusable assignments, which is to say that they're not throwaway assignments, that there's some practical value to doing them. That's probably a nutshell version of it. This allows students to free themselves from the limits of time, expense, and space as they complete their degree or certificate in TRS. That sounds like a Doctor Who episode, but I do understand what they're saying. Students also have the opportunity to complete internships for their final projects in the capstone course. It sounds amazing. To free themselves from the limits of time, expense, and space. It's great. But no, true. Yeah, if you don't have to pay for the textbook and you have it completely online, you get to take it at your own pace. Cool. And here we are, we have about 53 responses. It's looking similar. Is that true, Nick? Looking similar. I think if anything, the industry recognized credentials seems to have more of a lead here with individual learner than it did to the value to the community. Great. Let's move down to the comments on this one. So, any comments on the last two on what the value of those certificates and programs and degrees are to the community or the learner? If we missed the ball, is there something that you wish was on that list that wasn't on the list? Give folks a few moments to respond to that one. Pima Community College's intensive academic ESL prepares non-native speakers of English to achieve their goals by developing their language skills and intercultural understanding. Writing, grammar, reading, vocabulary, oral communication, and pronunciation courses take non-native speakers from a high beginning to advanced level, culminating in the transferable college writing course, Writing 101 SE, taught by faculty certified in both writing and ESL. In addition to robust instruction, ESL students receive customized support to set them up for success, including new ESL student orientation, on-demand help, one-on-one coaching sessions, and regular in-class presentations on academic support tools. Completion of the intensive ESL sequence opens countless doors to students, empowering them to be more confident, navigate life in the US, begin a certificate or degree program of their choice, as well as seek higher education and better paying jobs. Someone made the point that micro-credentialing might have rated higher if people knew more about it, and that's a good point. So micro-credentialing is the, and badging, and I really hope I don't mess this up with such a big audience, but it is, you know, the applying of credentials to it's, I think at one time I called it sort of like the tangible proof that you knew the concept of something, you know, and so it's a badge that we can do it through badging or other services. but the credentialing of the skills on the way to the bigger credential is, at least that's how it plays out in stackable credentials. Ian Rourke hopefully is not upset with my definition of it there. Yeah, we are seeing micro-credentials play out a lot in a lot of spaces, and some of them are kind of non-traditional. For example, LinkedIn Learning with lynda.com has a lot of micro-credentialing in it. There are micro-credentialing going on at the University of Arizona and other places, and it's sort of an emerging field of, what do you get that proves you know what you know, and how valuable is that? Educated activist citizenry, good. Value with employment opportunities, right? And so there's two sort of competing views of what it is that we offer, right? The educated activist citizenry on the employment value. I'm not sure that they're competing necessarily, but they're definitely two definitions that will lead us, on two different paths. Equal benefit, oh, very good. I should have had that. We should have had that as an option. Great. I think we're right about there, Nick. Okay. So for this question, this is a discussion that's being held at the state level. There's some current legislation being considered to allow community colleges to offer four-year degrees. At this time, PIMA is sort of neutral on that, in part because our rural students are being well served by some of our partners. We believe that they're being very active in providing that service. And it's just kind of new, and it's sort of not, nothing set. And so this is probably one of the first times I've seen us ask a question like this. Certainly was the first time I was asked in a meeting. So yeah, what do you think about it? And so this is just a great way to get some good feedback about the community interest in offering four-year degrees at a community college level. Again, it's not something that's, final at the state level, still a lot of discussions, but from my list of things to say when I realize I have nothing else to say, Voices on the Economy, VOTE, is a globally recognized economics education program that was incubated at Pima Community College. Using role plays, debates, and other creative activities, students learn the radical, conservative, and liberal economic perspectives. The curriculum is free from bias towards any one point of view in order to allow students to develop their own informed opinions. VOTE's mission is to spark new solutions to our urgent economic problems by building a culture of respectful listening, passionate advocacy, and intelligent debate. Excellent. We got, looks like a 34 agree or strongly agree, 17 disagree, strongly disagree, and about 16 neutral. Awesome. Just a few more seconds here, and then we'll move to the next slide. where we're going to ask you about your comments about offering four-year degrees being offered at the community college level. Great. Please share your comments on four-year degrees being offered at the community college level. Let us know what you're thinking. Especially if you had that sort of neutral or, were, strong in your opinions, let us know what you're thinking. And we'll share this information with the strategic planning team and others who may be interested. No way. That's very good. Clear. I love it. I like clarity. The licensed practical nursing CTD program is being inactivated and moved into a credit modality, creating a 200% cost savings for the students. In addition, in fall 2020, 6 additional simulation bays were added to the simulation lab to accommodate simulation across allied health AHLA scholarships. 10,000 total to be awarded as 5 $2,000 scholarships for the 21 to 22 year. Visit Tucson scholarships, 10,000 to be awarded how the program deems appropriate with a priority on African-American students. Yeah, lots of good points on both sides here. Like, don't complicate our situation. Let's do what we do well. And other people saying education should not cost an arm and a leg, right? Hopefully I got that one right. Just to say, there's this sentiment in the chat that I see that, if it were something we were to do, then it would probably be done more affordably. But then a lot of good concern about increasing our competition without necessarily having the resources we need to do it well. So pretty smart comments on both sides, I think. And some good alternatives here. All right, we got a couple more learner success questions, and we'll transition to that in just a few minutes. But any last thoughts on four-year degrees being offered at the community college level? Yeah, it says Pima isn't doing this, so I asked the question. Nobody's doing it right now. That's on the discussion. So if the legislation passes it, then there will be opportunities there. And I guess the thought is, where does the community stand on that? And so that's why we're asking the question. Terrific. All right, well, let's move on, Nick. So we got 2 questions here, and if you look at the first one, you could probably guess the second one. So the first one is, what do you think we already do at the Pima to support learner success? So what are we doing well? And then the next one's going to be, what can we do better? So if you can focus on what you think is working, so we know that those are the things we should continue to prioritize in the strategic plan, that'd be great. And then we're going to get to the things that we ought to be doing better, so that how we can sort of shift resources to to improve this. So just a few minutes on that. And I think I'm on the makerspace. Pima Community College opened its state-of-the-art makerspace at the East Campus in November 2018. The center features 3D printers, laser cutters, and other electronic devices, as well as group study spaces with interactive whiteboards. It is funded through the HSI STEM project, HSI STEM project EPIC, Engage, Prepare, Inspire, Challenge grant, which aims to adapt curriculum and learning spaces to 21st century learning styles and increase the success of Hispanic students in science, technology, engineering, and math. A successful extension of STEM learning through Art 100 basic design courses has taken place in coordination with Project EPIC. Right, seeing some comments come in. Affordability seems to resonate. Good class sizes, librarian support, great instructors know their students. Excellent. High best, keeping classes small. Well, lots of small class sizes. It's good. In fall of 2020, the courses in fashion merchandising, formerly MKT 140 and 240, were successfully moved from the business division to the arts division, and their prefixes were changed to FDC. This successfully met the EMP's directive to relocate these classes from downtown campus to West Campus. They will be offered for enrollment in an upcoming semester and will be part of the new reimagined fashion design certificate. Excellent. Great, we just got a few more seconds and then we're gonna go from what we're already doing to support learner success to what we can do better. Whenever you're ready, Nick. You think it's good? We got 85, they're still coming in, nice. What can we do better or start doing, right? So this is, things we're doing, but not quite as well as we'd like, or things that we just kind of haven't started doing yet that we need to start doing. Construction of the 100,000 square foot advanced manufacturing building is underway and is on schedule for summer 2022 completion. This facility will house the automated industrial AIT, CAD, machining, and welding programs, as well as the 12,000 square foot flexible industry training lab, an IDEA lab makerspace, a business incubator, faculty offices, and a large meeting space. Once the AIT, automotive, CAD, machining, and welding programs move into their respective new locations, the building and construction BCT program will expand through the rest of the ST West building, growing from 3,000 square feet to 20,000 square feet. This will be the BCT program to offer industrial and commercial competencies in addition to residential construction competencies. So I said, sorry, excuse me, misspelled. So this will allow the BCT program to offer industrial and commercial competencies in addition to residential construction competencies. Great. Things we can do better. Advising consistency, great. Outreach, Latinx outreach pathways, great, thank you. Stop chasing shiny things. I've got to point that one out. That's true. If we have too many priorities and keep going after the new thing, we may not follow through on the old thing. And follow through is the vice president of my area, Mike Lamick, talks about this sometimes, where innovation is easy. Sometimes it's the following through with the innovation and making it a practice that the institution continues. That's the hard part. Anti-racism professional development for departments, better interdiscipline and vertical articulation, update our FDC program with future industry tech training, lots of reshoring coming to the apparel industry. I can't help but think of like some kind of future movie I must have saw 20 years ago where all of the clothes have technology on them. I'm sure that's coming if it's not here already. I'm not sure if that's what you meant, but that's where my head went. We'll try to say yes, or we'll try to figure it out rather than we can't do that. It's good behavior. Great. Yeah, we got about 96 responses. We got about 120 people watching, so we get a few more minutes. I don't want to use up all my talking points. I'll leave none for Nick.
I don't mind. You can share another one now if you like.
All right, I'll do one more. Seems like this one's popular. I see the comments are coming up, which is good. It's exactly the kind of information that we need. So thank you, everybody. Okay, here we are. The Aviation Technology Program was added to the Applied Technology Division in summer 2016. In 2019, the state legislature allocated $15 million to enable Pima to double the capacity of its aviation technology program. The expansion will allow the college to increase enrollment up to 300 students and 120 to 150 graduates each year. The expansion will add a large hangar, several classrooms, a larger tool crib, and offices. Construction is scheduled to be completed in fall 2021. Oh man, I'm not sure what a badging system with blockchain transcripts is, but I want to know more. Great, I think we might be good to move on. Nick, what do you think? So thank you for listening to me ramble on about engaging learner success. You made it awesome by giving me great feedback, and I'm going to hand you back to Nick.
All right, thank you very much, Anthony. So let's move to the second section of the discussion. So we're shifting our focus a tiny bit from focusing on the learners who attend the institution and thinking much more in detail about the community and how we can meet the needs of the community. And I want to start this off with a big, broad question. What do you think the educational needs of the community will be over the next 10 years? Now, as you think about this, please keep in mind some of the items that were mentioned earlier. So we have the growth in competition. People seeking an education have choices now about where they might want to go. We have the impact of technology. What is it going to mean for instruction as artificial intelligence can maybe start to deliver some of the routine instructions? What does that mean for how we connect with our students? So please keep those bigger picture things in mind as you think about the future. And also, because I always like to think of this one in terms of when we have been successful. 10 years from now, we will be just past our Achieve 60 goal. And so hopefully by this point in time, the community will look a little bit different because we will have a significantly higher education level across our diverse population due to it, not just of Pima. I mean, this is a statewide effort, Achieve 60, but think about that as well. And that future for our community and what it looks like. So let me see. Very different from anything we can plan for right now. Yes, I kind of agree with that one. And that's why at PIMA we started to embed these futures methods to try and think through and imagine the consequences 10 years from now of a change today. There's various methods for that. And as I think I mentioned before, if you join us for the next event, you'll have the chance to try some of those and think about what they mean for PIMA and the community we serve. So let's see, technology skills. Okay, entrepreneurship will be needed to a greater extent. I think one of the things we all need to be ready for is a constant state of change. It used to be not really that long ago, there would be a change and then things would stay kind of static for a few years. But the pace of change is so fast now. And I think some of the skills in entrepreneurship help with addressing change. What else do we have here? Industry partners are fully engaged with PIMA to upskill workers regularly. Upskilling, reskilling, a few different terms are used for this. And this is another thing that's changed. It used to be you got a job and it was a career for life. That's really not the case anymore. So lifelong learning, it's a really important area. A more robotic world, yeah. Doesn't sound quite so much fun as the world we have now, does it? But I think the question is, how do we, I always said coexist with the robots. I'm not sure that's the right way of putting it, but where do we bring the humanity into things when we have machines doing
For
so
one, welcome our new robot overlords. Well, I think one of the things we think about sometimes, I know the Chancellor's talked about, is apprenticeships, right? And apprenticeship programs too. But also this idea that, you know, and he's talked about training for the unknown, right? Which is what the foundation of a liberal arts education is. So we have these sort of two historically opposite thoughts. One that, you know, you should train and get that certificate for someone who already knows what they're doing, but that sort of falls apart when what you're doing doesn't exist yet. And so to have that broad foundation of skills as well. I don't think that it's impossible to marry those two ideas, but it's certainly new to be able to say you're going to have these broad skills, but you're also going to have these credentials that demonstrate those competencies as you need them for very specific things. And you know, in some of the future work we've talked about is it's more or less, you know, when you see this, you know, I'm done, I've got the degree, I don't ever need to learn again. I think that's the thought that kind of peters out a little bit.
Absolutely. We have some interesting things coming in. I've been reading through them as they come up. Very specific job credentials, as well as degree programs in 21st century job opportunities. Sustainable, oh, there was a really good one about sustainable resources and it disappeared.
Natural resource preservation, green energy, low, oh, there it went away from me too. I was watching it on the 30-second delay. It'll pop back up.
Well, that's good. We know a little bit more about how long the delay is today. Here we go. Graduates that are experts in managing climate changes. Absolutely. There is a huge challenge and a huge opportunity facing us as we think about the impacts on the climate that we're currently experiencing. How we mitigate that and how we position ourselves moving forward is really important to think about. All right, good. Free college. Maybe, depending on how things play out. And I think I spend too much time thinking about the future. I saw one, I don't see it right now, but about phone learning. I'm just sort of like, ooh, I wonder what the phone will be like 10 years from now. Do we like, I don't know, what might that be like? Do we still all have our smartphones? Will Will there be a rebellion against all the technology and people go back to wanting one of those little flip phones that we used to have back in the day? Who knows? All right, we've got 112 responses here, so I'm going to pause just for a moment longer in case you have any last comments you want to submit. I will let you know, I think I may have mentioned this before, we have a placeholder slide question at the end for any comments that you didn't have a chance to submit or that occurred to you after we moved on. So you'll have an opportunity if we move past something and you're like, wait, I had the best idea. You'll have the opportunity to submit that. So don't worry if we move forward. All right, so let me move us on to the next statement. I have to find my mouse. So I'm working on 2 screens and I keep being on the wrong one. All right, here we go. Okay, so we are going to go through a series of 4 questions, and I'm going to be asking you about specific needs of particular stakeholders in the community. Now, you may be a member of that stakeholder group, you may not be, but we all have different communications with different groups and we hear about different things. So let's start off by thinking about what the employers in Pima County need from us. This is obviously a key function we have. While we provide an education for our students, we have a significant impact on the local economy. By developing a higher skilled workforce, we can help attract other companies into the area. And by better understanding what employers need, or further understanding what employers need, it's only going to help us do better and better. Though I should give a special mention to Dr. Ian Rourke and his team, who work extensively with employers and other stakeholders within the community, which has really transformed our relationship with Pima County in this area over the last few years. But let me see, what do we have coming in here? Soft skills. You know, I was involved in a very interesting conversation quite a long time ago now. I was a dean for a little while at the downtown campus. I was meeting with a group of employers about a particular program area. And one of the things they highlighted was that a priority for them was an ethics class, which hadn't previously been part of that program, but their area of work was such that they needed to be confident that if an employee had made a mistake in a particular area, that they would have the ethics, the integrity to bring that forward and recognize that it was more important to say something than kind of keep it secret because they messed up and they didn't want to look bad. So soft skills is a very interesting one to see here. Let me see. Competent employees, well-trained employees. Absolutely. I live here in Pima County. I go to the doctor's office here, the dentist here. I absolutely went well-trained, skilled employees. And for my Pima colleagues on the phone, I don't know if you do this, but I routinely ask people when I go to different places, whether they studied at Pima or where they went, to kind of find out about their experience. And it's always nice to encounter a Pima graduate. Okay, so better understanding of the work ethics and the philosophy associated with being a good worker. Innovative employees. Absolutely. That rapidly changing environment that I mentioned before, everybody, regardless of their role in the workforce, needs to be able to adapt quickly. I need a portal to virtually connect to post what jobs they need, workers available. Okay. I mentioned about connecting with smaller businesses. Responsiveness. See a few different comments speaking to relevant training. Absolutely. This is one of the things we've talked about with the Achieve 60 initiative. The way the college is approaching this is we could kind of mass produce graduates with a certificate that has a small number of credit hours and just kind of work the numbers. But there's been a clear focus at the institution that the awards that students earn as we work towards this target need to bring value to the students and value to the community. They need to be relevant. We don't want to saturate the market with one specific skill set because it's easy or convenient for us. That relevancy is hugely important to us as an institution, and is in part what has driven the work being done by Dr. Doré and others on the establishment of the Centers for Excellence. And since I'm mentioning those, a special mention to facilities as well, who have a huge part of those initiatives. And our provost, Dr. Duran Seda, and the academic implications and work. Okay, so I'm seeing lots of good stuff here. People who are not afraid of failure, absolutely. All right, so I'm going to move us along to the next question. We're going to shift our focus from employers, and instead, let's think about working adults. Now, we know within Pima County, and I could talk at length about the demographics of our community. I won't today, but I did touch on the birth dearth earlier. There are reducing numbers of students in the pipeline through high school and middle school over time. There's a larger population of working adults. We also know within the working adult population, we have a fairly significant proportion of people who have some college but no degree. And if that's getting them the work they want to do, that's fine. But there is a clear correlation, if you look at Bureau of Labor Statistics information, between the highest level of education an individual has earned and their likely cumulative earnings over the course of their lifetime. And so as we think about working adults, the practicalities that they have, workload to deal with, they may have family responsibilities, but they're a key population who potentially we could very positively impact and open doors for them to career advancement. So let me see what we have coming in here. Talk to them about what they need. That's a good one. And I have a related question coming up about that, because they're a really important population, but they're also a very difficult population to connect to. For example, with the high schools and students leaving there, that we know where to find them. Working adults, it can be a little bit harder to build that connection. Okay, have clear programs we share with them so they understand what they can accomplish at Pima. Shorter programs, evening programs, after hours classes to get certificates and degrees. And I should note for this, it doesn't relate to program length, but evening programs, after hour classes, those needs may be one of the things that's driving a trend we see at Pima, where over the last few years now, speaking pre-pandemic for the moment, we were seeing a decline in some of the more traditional delivery methods that students were choosing to take, but we've been seeing this ongoing increase in online learning. And as I say, this isn't driven by the pandemic, though of course there's been impacts of the pandemic on that. But we were seeing this clearly before that. Students were choosing to take the classes in an online format. Now, and it's interesting to think about the implications of that for evening classes, weekend classes, because we do have evening and weekend classes, some on site, but some of them, many of them through our online offerings. But is online, well, how do we leverage online and connect with a community? Where's that personal element in there? Let's see, flexible schedules, pertinent classes and programs. All right, good stuff coming in here. Pause for just a moment longer, and then we'll move on to the next one and talk about our next stakeholder group. All right, good. Let's move on to the next one. So let's see who we have up next. How can we help Pima County residents be more involved with the community? Now, we're a community college. We exist to serve this institution. We have a variety of offerings, credit, classes, which people are probably generally familiar with. We have adult education, we have non-credit, we offer professional certificates. And there's been suggestions that have come up in the past sometimes about whether the community here, which we know we have a lot of retirees in the community, right? Whether there is an opportunity there to connect with that community and for them to tutor and be mentors for the students who we currently serve. Let me see, embed community services at the campuses. That reminds me of an initiative at the East Campus where you can, actually, I don't know if you can now with a pandemic, but you could go there to get your passport, which was really fun. My family went down there one weekend when that was available. It was awesome. Everyone markets everyone markets college as part of their work. That was good. There was a great one I wanted to read and then it disappeared, but it came back. Volunteer opportunities for them to help in the food pantries. Organize more events. Oh, I like this one. Community events. Open the college for a community day. That sounds really fun. All these things we can do after the pandemic. It's going to be great, isn't it? Okay, better marketing of events, industry partnerships. Good. Some good ones coming in here. So I want to share a number with you. As part of my responsibilities, I oversee the data and reporting function. So while you're thinking about this one, the Futures Conference is one example of us seeking input from the community we serve, internal and external stakeholders. But we have various different channels we use to gather input from different people. And at the moment, the college is in the process of implementing a new method for gathering student feedback at the end of each of their classes. We had a pilot in the fall. It's a fairly small group of classes, but the results are fairly similar with what we've seen in the past. And so to share a couple numbers. So one of the statements we asked students to respond to: instructors created a learner-friendly environment where I felt I could participate. Over 92% of respondents agreed with that statement, which is really great to see. And then we have 5% who were kind of neutral. So it's great, really positive. Speaks highly. Faculty members on the phone, on the YouTube stream. Thank you. It's a testament to the work that you do. And we see similarly positive responses throughout that survey instrument. It's really nice to see. And we will make aggregate results available at the end of the spring semester where we're going live with a full implementation. So let me see what else we have coming in. Attend HOA meetings and share PMA opportunities. More events on campus, such as a car show. Really like car shows. Sign me up for that one. All right, good. So I'm going to move along. We have one population left on whom I would like to gather your input. Let's see. How can we support high school students in Pima County? Now, working adults, as I mentioned, are a key population for us, but we are also a good option for high school students as they leave the high school and as they're thinking about what they want to do next. There's an initiative, I forget the institution that I heard this from, but what they do in their community is at the high school graduation, it's kind of all wrapped up in one at the event. It's so congratulations, you're graduating from high school, and congratulations, you're now a student of this community college. It's so easy, it's immediate. I think it relates to what some people talk about with opt-in or opt-out systems. It kind of makes it more of an opt-out type system. So let me see, outreach. I know we have a lot of hardworking people who perform outreach to the schools, but we have a lot of schools. Dual enrollment is increasing. There's phenomenal growth that's been going on in that area. So special mention if anybody from dual enrollment is on the line. Good work. Increased dual enrollment programs. Start outreach earlier than high school. Yeah, there have been some very effective practices where institutions have connected at the middle school and earlier. one I was reading about recently, they go to schools in lower income areas and they give the students at the school like a backpack and pens and pencils, things that they may not be able to afford to get for themselves. And it's all branded with the institution logo, but they form that connection early, but they do it in a way that gets resources to those students in the classrooms to help them be successful. Oh, I see a data question. How many dual enrollment students go to the U of A? Offhand, I don't know that, but STAR team members, let's check. Somebody make a note of that one, please. Assign deans and department heads to a high school to be that PIMA voice. Mm-hmm. Some good ideas coming in here. I'll give it just another moment or two and then we'll move on to the next question. So if you have ideas, keep entering them here. Educate the parents about PIMA. Mm-hmm. That could be particularly valuable for our first generation students, families, experience of higher education themselves. I also read now, I don't remember where this one's from either, but another fun one that I think one of my colleagues here at PIMA told me about. And it was an initiative where they were offering classes for kind of two age groups at the same time. So they were offering classes for, I think in that case, it was for high school students at the college, but they were also offering classes for the parents at the same time. So they could come take age-appropriate classes in a certain topic, maybe even the same subject at the same time, in different groups, of course, because it would be different material for each population. But it would be more of a family experience then, as they were learning this particular content area. I thought that was a very interesting idea. All right, so let's move on to the next one. Oh, I like that one. One last one though, job shadowing, but more like class shadowing. It's a good one. All right, great, wonderful input, everybody today. Thank you. Let's move on to the next one. How can we improve the way we engage with potential learners? Now, there's a couple different reasons for asking this, but as we think about how we meet the needs of the community, obviously we need to be connecting with the people in the community who would benefit from the education that we provide. And I mentioned it a little bit with the working adults. It's a challenging population because we don't have a place where we can engage en masse with them. So we need things that can be scalable. This is, of course, also driven by enrollment challenges and the enrollment drops. How do we connect with students and bring them back? And while you're thinking about this one, let me share with you a few key facts about the students we serve. So these are for fall 2020 students and a few percentages. So for that student population, 47% of them were Latinx, 37% were white. And this has been a shift for the institution because it used to be that the largest race ethnicity group attending PIMA was white, non-Hispanic, to use the federal language that we would typically use in reporting. But that changed a couple of years ago, and that gap seems to be increasing. Another gap that's increasing, we used to be close to 50-50 in terms of male and female students, slightly more female students, but it was close. For the fall, it was a little different, 59% female and about 40% male. So that gap is getting bigger. So we have lost more male students during the pandemic than female students. Why is that? How can we reconnect with those students and get them to the institution, knowing that the education we provide will have significant benefits for them in terms of their career opportunity, lifetime earnings, etc. See, what do we have? Allow for a handful of classes they may take without cost. It's an interesting one. One of the ideas that the planning team has been talking about is creative ways of handling financial challenges for students and how we might reimburse some costs or how we might kind of roll funding around from semester to semester. I have all these creative ideas in the works. And I thanked the foundation earlier, but I'll thank them again because Marcy Euler and I have had some wonderful conversations on that. But we're really looking to see how we can build one of these game-changing initiatives that I mentioned earlier, like Achieve 60, but do it in a way where we can be very creative about how we support financial needs of the students. Let's see. Better use of social media, be relevant and offer courses and programs they want. More focused career services. All right, this is good. I'll give you a couple more minutes to think about this one. And while you do that, let me tell you a little bit more about PIMA students in 2020, the fall 2020 semester, by age group. So if we think about students in the age of 18 through 24, which is the group we mentioned a little bit earlier, 57% of our student body fell in that category. So we look in many respects like a very traditional junior college with the highest proportion of students in those very traditional college ages. But we do have 30% of students from that fall who are aged between 25 and 39. Then we have about 11% who are 40 or older. So it drops off quite a bit over age. And as we think again, as you're pondering ways we can engage with potential learners, keep that age distribution in mind, because that does not mirror the age distribution within Pima County. And if we're really meeting the educational needs of the full community, it would be nice to see an increase in some of these older students. Explain how it connects to career and personal life. Oh, short videos, 2 to 3 minutes with a PIMA faculty member giving a practical tip about their field. That sounds great. Taxes, health, geology, building and construction, high production values. Yeah. There's one of the online providers. They have very high quality videos that they post, like 2-minute trailers for their classes. And they're quite impactful. I mean, they really give you a sense of what you can expect, and having the instructor delivering that video, you know much more about who you're going to be connected with. All right, let's move on to the next one. Though I could stand here reading these all day, but we have other questions. Let's see. Oh, and I'm on the wrong screen. Let me go back over here again. Sorry about that. Okay. In what ways can the college and the larger community work together to help learners entering the college succeed? So some of this relates to residents, but I firmly believe everybody at PIMA, all of our community, we want the people who seek an education to be successful, because when our learners are successful, our community is successful. And there's so much we can do if we work together. So partnerships instead of competitors, internships, apprenticeships, career placement, good ones. All right. Some good ones coming in here. Let me share a couple more numbers. So we might touch on these data a little bit more next time, but let me share with you some of the progress and outcomes data for PIMA students. We participate in the voluntary framework of accountability, and some of the things we track in there is fall to next term retention. We look at credit success rates. And let me share the first term credit success rate with you. So this takes all of the classes, all the credit hours associated with classes, and looks at the proportion successful. And for us, that is at 72%. And that's been creeping up over recent years, which has been really good to see. The 2-year completed credit rate is also around about 72%. It's very slightly lower at 71.5%. But it's great, and one of a number of areas where we have seen progress and improvement in outcomes and progress of the institution. So let me see, what do we have in terms of the ways the college and the community can work together? So more efforts like Thrive in the 05, which is a great one to mention. I know a little bit about that, but Anthony, you and I should include an update about that one at the next Futures Conference. If we haven't last time, I don't remember. I'll check on that one. Pipeline to work, mentorships, programs where careers are waiting for our graduates. Finish in May, job in June. Oh yeah. Or even better, if there's a strong enough pipeline, students have a job before they even finish. And so they step out of PEMA and straight into that job, and they know where they're going. Direct employment opportunities, position of pride.
Sorry, I realized I was mute. I said, sure, for the Thrive 05. I've been talking to you for a while. I was going to say truck driving is a good example of that, where you finish and you go right into employment. The truck driving program, historically at PEMA, has been one of the best at that I'm aware of. So if you know more, share that too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think that's the case with aviation as well. I think there's a few areas like that. Yeah. All right, good. Okay, so let's move on to our next question. I'll get myself on the right slide again. Here we go. Okay, so this is the last question I have for you, and I'm actually going to transition over to Anthony as you start filling this out. So we're reaching the end of the event, so we will shortly be asking to gather names for the prizes. So students, community members, please make sure you don't leave for a little bit until you see the survey. But what we wanted to do is end with a really open question to gather anything that we missed. And now these may be relate to something we didn't ask about the community that you want to share, maybe something that's occurred to you as we've moved through, but you haven't had a chance to enter it. So we wanted to give you an opportunity here to provide that information. And with that, I'm going to hand it back over to Anthony for this part of the discussion.
Oh yeah, I get to talk again now. So, well, we thought since this was the Futures Conference where we asked the community, what do you need from us? We took our best guess with all the other slides, but for now, what is it? What do you need? What does our community need from us? What do you need? What can we do that we, it's just occurred to you, or? Excellent. So in seeing some of these things come in, honesty and humility, job pathways, return on investment to the community. Focus on community needs. Increase visibility by doing more fun activities with engaging the community. Listen to current and potential students. Great. %70% of the voters said yes to Prop 481. Need to communicate back about what the investment, about that investment to the broader community. Yeah. Excellent. How are we doing on our 104? We're down from our peak of 120 viewers. We're down to 104. That makes sense. We're getting closer to the end here. But please stick around for the last few slides. This is the last Menti slide, I think, right? So anything else you want us to know or to consider in the planning process? relationship outside Pima County, students' opportunity, transportation to campus. Early college and concurrent affordable for high school students. School job connection. Great, yeah, good stuff. Keep coming in. Did you end up reading any of these delay fillers? I feel like you made up your own, Nick.
I kind of did. Yeah, I shared some data and then I just kind of rambled. So, you know.
I'll do one more while we're waiting on the last for folks to do it here. The accounting department created the new enrolled agent program, and we are partnering with United Way to provide service learning through the volunteer income tax assistance program. When campuses reopen, we will further partner with the United Way by hosting a VITA, that's a voluntary income tax assistance site at West Campus. Our program students will staff the site. Excellent. Great. Yeah. So we're got about 60 folks here. I'll give you a few more seconds to get any last minute comments, but also wanted to remind you that Nick Richmond and I are in the employee directory. So you can feel free to reach out to us directly if you have afterthoughts or wanted to follow up with something. I know sometimes I'm in a meeting and I'll be thinking about it later and then, oh, you know, I'm the king of, I should have said this, right? So if you are good like that, then please feel free to follow up with us. And Nick, is there going to be a survey sent out for folks who watch this asynchronously?
There will be. We don't have that built yet, but we will be posting that. So we have a website of PIMA under integrated planning, and we're posting kind of the static version of this information and surveys for people to submit information. So it should be posted in about the next week, and then we'll have it open for a few weeks.
Excellent. Great. Transparency on what we know our weaknesses, our areas of our opportunity are. That kind of resonates with something people were saying in a previous one about our students with, you know, that it's okay to admit when you did something wrong, you know, the first attempt in learning as an acronym for fail. We can model that a little better, perhaps. Okay, great. I think we're gonna move to the next slide, where when we talk about the last two sessions of the Futures Conference, as you recall, we've divided it into 4 separate sessions focusing on different things. This was the one focusing on community need. So on March 22nd from 9 to 11 a.m., we'll be talking about the long-term priorities of the college and specifically about Achieve 60 and how that relates to Pima County. And then on April 16th from 9 to 11, we'll be soliciting feedback on the draft plan, which we will most assuredly have at April 16th from 9 to 11. He said convincingly. No, for sure we will. And then we'll get your feedback, and that's going to be very exciting to see how all of this has come, you know, from reviewing the old plan to creating a new one. And before we get to the prizes, I do want to say some thanks. Some thank you to folks. Thanks to all of the strategic planning team members, to the PCC TV staff, the information technology staff, our access and disability resources staff, external relations staff, and the staff at STAR, Strategy, Analytics, and Research, who've been impersonating the YouTube chat comments and taking notes. Thank you for that. Thanks to all the community members, Lee Lambert, board governors, and everybody, and especially to our students who showed up and gave us your feedback and opinions. There will be some information here about prizes. Please fill out a survey so we know who is here. The link is HTTP. No, I'm not going to read that. Is that getting posted in YouTube chat? Is that something I should do? I don't know.
It actually isn't going to get posted because we had all kinds of trouble at the last Futures conference getting the YouTube chat to let us put these kinds of links in there. So hopefully everyone can see it okay from the slide. It's a very short link, so hopefully you'll be able to get
what I'm going to go ahead and recommend is that you take a quick picture of that while it's on your screen so you can type it in later. It's HTTP. I guess I will read it now. I was going to say HTTP // bit period ly. Is that /? It must be / PIMA FC21. If you're an employee, sorry, but you can't win, but do let us know that you're here. We'll randomly select the winners and we'll call you later today if you were selected. So again, keep that up and go ahead and take a little photo of that if you need to, or just type it into another browser right now while you're thinking about it. And thank you so much for coming.
Yes, thank you, everybody. And so, we'll be keeping this survey open for about 30 minutes. So please be sure to fill this out soon. It should be very quick. It's just your name and your contact information. I encourage you to provide your phone number as well as your email and address, because I would prefer to call you to let you know you have won later. So please give us your phone number too.
If you've got the Mentimeter screen open, you can highlight it and copy it and paste it to a new browser. That's what I just did.
All right, good. Excellent. Thank you for testing that, Anthony. So thank you, everyone, for being here. This is our final slide. We will leave this one up here in case anybody needs it for longer to get to the survey. And we cannot thank you enough for your time today. Thank you. Your input is really valued. And Anthony and I have lots of comments now to go back through, share with the planning team, and feed into our next steps. So thank you, everybody, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thanks, folks.
All right. Do you want to keep it going for a little bit longer?